Drake Maye is really what I'm interested in, how this reflects on Drake Maye. And then secondarily, I just don't think it was a very well-managed asset. So we got, that was Mike Florio talking about, again, that the Patriots felt they really needed it to be Drake Maye's team and that there might be some sort of schism in some corners of the locker room about the quarterback thing. That blows me away. People brought that up last week. I'm like, no way. But it's just sort of been mentioned in other places. Like, that surprises me if that's a real factor. Like, there were some receivers who would rather have Joe Milton than Drake Maye. What are we, nuts? But is that real? But either way, in the reporting that I read, and I'll read some of it to you, nowhere am I hearing they thought he sucked and he wasn't going to make the team, so they had to get rid of him before they lost him for nothing. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah, right.
It's all this stuff about clearing the runway for Drake Maye, clearing the decks for Drake Maye, making sure everyone knows it's Drake Maye's team, trying to prevent any problems before they arise and any potential schisms in the locker room. That's what the thing was all about. It wasn't about Joe Milton's ability or what they thought of him as a player. It was all about how Drake Maye felt about him and how the team felt about him in that thing.
Absolutely.
So, nowhere have I read they thought he sucked. So, that's just, it's still kind of disappointing on that level.
Yeah, very disappointing. Again, and look, if let's say Milton ends up being good. If Maye is good, fans won't care. Fans are just going to worry about Drake Maye. But I think it's totally fair already to look at the Patriots and say, well, you could have gotten a lot more for him. You just gave him away for the hell of it. That's it. And I say the hell of it. But again, just because it was going to make things, or he wanted the starting job, that's it?
Or if Drake Maye gets hurt again, and we got to watch Josh Dobbs versus a kid who has a higher ceiling. That's disappointing. That's not a good result. But again, if Drake May's out there every week and excelling, then, right, I mean, what's the diff? I hear you.
But if he can't learn how to slide correctly and keeps getting concussed and never learns that, then, yeah, you'd rather have the kid with more upside than Dobbs, please.
Karen Garesian in Mass Live, on Mass Live, wrote over the weekend, based on Karen Garesian, our former colleague there at the Herald, based on intel gathered from sources during the week, Milton fancied himself a starter. He didn't see himself being given a legitimate chance to compete with Drake Maye. He also believed he was good enough to give Maye a run, if not overtake him for the job. With that as a backdrop, Vrabel has talked quite a bit about wanting players who want to be in New England. He's talked a lot about having players who buy into his program. Milton, who at 25 is 3 years older than Maye, made it clear behind the scenes he no longer wanted to be sitting behind Drake Maye. For Vrabel, who is trying to establish a culture and trying to set the tone for what's to come, that attitude didn't fly. So he didn't wait. He extracted Milton before players arrived in town, and the Patriots' offseason program began today, April 7th. So Mazz was very good to bring that up early in our discussion when the story first broke last Thursday about the players reporting today, and they didn't even want Joe Milton in the building, even to stretch out next to Drake Maye, which is... Well, at least they had a hard opinion on the thing and acted on it. I just think they went too far with it.
I think there was a way for them to manage that, too. Again, just tell them not to come. Tell them that you're going to accommodate them, but you're going to do it at a time where you can get a little bit more than what they're getting for him, and tell them not to show up. Now, I suppose he could have showed up anyway or shown up anyway. But to me, there were other ways to deal with it other than them just, saying, that's it, we're done with you, go, we'll take nothing for you, see you later. To me, they could have done more to maximize the asset.
So, again, if the team wants to cover their tracks a little bit, let me start over. I was expecting more coming out this weekend that really would cover the Patriots in that he really wasn't very good. He may not have made the team in the first place. He was, really a problem behind the scenes. And I didn't get any of that. All I got is he didn't want to be here because he thought he should be getting a shot to start. He thought he could beat out Drake Maye, and they wanted to clear the decks for Drake Maye. That just doesn't feel like that's a strong enough justification to trade the guy. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Nowhere did I read in there that he sucks or that he wasn't going to make the team or that he wasn't worth the pick that they made for him. You know, if I had read one thing that, you know, Mike Vrabel and his scouts and his people came in and evaluated Milton and said he wasn't even worth the 6th-rounder that you used on him last year, we're probably going to cut him in camp for nothing, so let's get something out of it. Like that would have felt like a better cover. They didn't even bother with that cover. They just said, no, the kid wanted to start, didn't want to be here, and we wanted to clear the decks for Drake Maye, clear the runway for Drake Maye. It's like that is still confusing to me.
At the very least, it's kind of a bad look for your quarterback. It makes him look like a bit of a diva because he needs to be so comfortable.
It makes it look like Maye wanted him out because he was uncomfortable with the whole thing. It does. That's the way it looks.
It absolutely looks that way.
And I don't know if that's the way it is or not, but that's how it reads. I mean,
to your point, though, it's an easier pill for people to swallow if you hear, like, the arm strength was just that, you know, he was too raw of a prospect, ego to talent ratio was out of control, so we moved on. Like, that kind of thing is like, oh, all right, well, it makes sense. Instead, it's all this stuff.
It's this guy. I mean, let me put it to you like this. Drake Maye has to be a factor here. I mean, Mike Reese wrote position room dynamics. Okay, so right there, he's telling you. There's no other quarterback on the roster. Dobbs hasn't even been here yet. So it's Maye. The dynamics in the quarterback room. If Milton was just a pain in the ass to the coaches, I don't know. I feel Vrabel could handle that. I feel the coaches could handle that. But if their young star quarterback had a problem and had his feathers ruffled and was getting distracted by the thing, well, then how do we address, you know, that they would step in on behalf of? So I just, if it was just in a vacuum, Milton having a high opinion of himself, being tough to deal with because of it internally, that if the quarterback room was fine with it, I think Vrabel would be able to handle it, don't you? I know he would.
Yes.
Of course he would.
Yeah, Mike, and again, go back to that final game when he did play and that Maye wasn't available to speak after that game or the next one. Like when that part of the story came out to me, that resonated a little bit because we all thought at the time maybe it had something to do with Mayo.
We started out saying, like, you know, Vrabel couldn't handle this last week, and it's, you know, I still feel that way. I mean, it's the right question to ask, but my answer is, yeah, he could. Yes, if Drake Maye was fine with Joe Milton, Vrabel could handle whatever high pain in the ass, high maintenance stuff the young backup quarterback threw out there. This isn't Vrabel's first rodeo.
I mean, it's not apples to apples, I guess, but he was willing to take on Stephon Diggs.
Steph Diggs has been a headache in a lot of places and worn out his welcome quickly in a lot of places. 3rd team in 3 years, 4th team in 7 years. Mike Vrabel's not afraid of Steph Diggs. You think he's afraid of Joe Milton? So no, Vrabel could. They're trying to appease their young quarterback. I think because don't tell me that doesn't add up. Mike Reese also wrote, the timing, according to a source familiar with the team's thinking, wasn't a coincidence. Monday marks the start of the team's voluntary program, and Vrabel views that as a meaningful checkpoint in the process of establishing team culture and the dynamic that ideally unfolds within each position group. So again,
we're going to get off to a good start in the quarterback room, and Milton's not going to be there.
Position group. That's, you know, there's not much of a position group there when it comes to quarterback. It's Drake Maye, the guy they signed just 5 minutes ago, who probably stepped foot in this area for the first time in forever, and Joe Milton. So it's not hard to figure out what I think Mike's hinting at there. And so, like, that to me is now the story. I mean, it's hardly a final analysis at all, but just put a mark on it. It's like, okay, Maye had his feathers ruffled on this thing. Not a big deal. It's just a backup quarterback, 6th-round pick. Okay. Let's just pay attention going forward. What else did he have his feathers ruffled by? Because this one doesn't feel like that should be that big of a deal. But maybe it was. Who knows?
Maybe we'll see more. Maybe there is more diva in there than we realize.
That's it. We'll see. I mean, that kid doesn't feel like a diva to me. Doesn't feel like he'd be high maintenance. I feel like he didn't, that I could tell, have a bad reputation come out of North Carolina. I feel like a good young kid. You know, I mean, that was a really bad team he played for last year, and they had a lot of failure, and I thought he carried himself pretty well. So it's kind of surprising that this thing, I think it does point to him with this thing. So That's sort of my takeaway coming from the weekend. Murray, you have a thought?
Yeah, I mean, you could feel and see the air of bitchiness off Mac Jones almost immediately when he first came into the league. He got nothing of that with Drake Maye, but who knows? Who knows what he's like behind the scenes?
Who knows? You don't know.